Welcome back to the channel, man. I am tickled to death you showed back up. Tickled to death. Oh boy, what are we going to be getting into today? So basically this video is going to be mostly me laying on my back. There's a joke in there somewhere. I'm sure of it. There's a joke in there somewhere. Anyway, so we're going to be up under this car because we've left some things undone that now seem to be a pretty good time to go back and get. We got the frame. I completely repainted the frame, top to bottom, front to back. So we got that done. Also, there is some floor bracing that I've got to go back and finish up. There's some holes in the inner kick panel that need to be cut out and redone. And so that's basically what we're going to be doing during this video. We're going to get the bottom side of this thing took care of. We're also going to finish up our seam sealing and finish up our undercoating. Most of that stuff was halfway done or halfway undone, whichever way you want to look at it. I'm a glass half full type dude. So if you get to the end of this video and you think to yourself, you know what? Now I'm really wondering if he's actually going to get this car done. Hit the subscribe, hit the thing, and just stay tuned to find out. Because I'm here to tell you, I'm gonna get this thing done. It might take me 19 years, but I'm gonna get this thing done. Welcome this episode in the garage.
What red hair mean? I know you want me. Well, I want you to. What will you do? Love child, what will you do? Don't be shy, sugar. Look me in the eye, girl. What's your pleasure? Sleep like a leather. Come better please. I'm down.
Stencil laid out here. We're gonna get it marked out. It's gonna be the rough version of what we need to do to fix that brace under the car. See if I can do this without too much movement. This is where I want my edge. This one, let's see what's the best way. I guess we come down here, mark this out. I guess. I don't know. I dropped out of art school. I don't know. Where is our edge? Right there. So this right here I know needs to be 1.5 inches, 1 3/4. I'll remeasure before. Yeah, 1 3/4. So we're actually dead on the money there. And from here to here is about 1 3/4 inches. About right there. So we'll cut that out, and then the same over here. We're dead on the money there. So what I'll do is I'll cut outside the line, and then what I need to do here is I need to come over 1 3/4 inches. Like so. Then we'll connect these dots. After I get this stupid pen to work, for Pete's sake. The one thing you're supposed to do and you don't. Help me to understand. Now, if you're wondering why I sound like I got my head up a cow's butt, it is because this is galvanized. So, anytime you're grinding or welding on galvanized, you need to wear a really good respirator, because metal fume sickness is a very real thing, and it will knock your little pee-pee in the dirt if you ain't careful. I mean, it kind of resembles it if you squint and cover one eye. We finally got this thing welded in, and just like any self-respecting trim man, we're gonna fill in the gaps with caulk. All right, new day. So we're gonna move on to something a little more enjoyable. For me anyway, even though I suck at it. We're gonna go ahead and get started again on this passenger side seat. started cutting holes out and everything for the buttons. And we got done under the car. It turned out really, really good. So that is completely finished. I'll get you set up and we'll get started on this passenger side seat and see if we can get this thing knocked out. So we got our material out here. I can get the cap off this. We got, a rough guesstimate as to about how much we're gonna need. So I'm gonna make some marks. Something like that. And we'll measure up from here to here. We'll measure the same from here to here. And we'll get our length. And then we'll go from there. I try to cut this stuff somewhat square, not have weird angles and stuff like that. That allows me to use more of it or waste less of it, however you want to look at that. And we are at 12.5. So let's go over here. Let's do 12.5 and we'll make our mark. Don't laugh, I gotta make a straight line with something. Just make whatever work. Something like yo, and something like yo. Get that cut out. That will be our piece. Now, believe it or not, this is one of my favorite parts of building cars, even though it's probably one that I am the worst at. But for some reason, I enjoy upholstery. I don't have any of the right tools to do it. And I've never had anybody show me how. But I fake it until I make it. All right, I apologize for the audio. I just forgot to put my microphone on. But I've got this setting about where I want it, length and width wise. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark these holes right here. One on each end. And that way when I glue this thing and I set it down, I don't have to worry about moving the material all over the place. And hopefully, with a little bit of forethought, that is gonna make upholstering this thing a little bit easier. And I can just line it up with those two marks right there, and that will get me where I need to be with plenty of material all the way around. I think that'll do it. Golly, sometimes I scare myself. I am so smart. We all glued up, let it set for, I don't know, about a cigarette length. So let's see about getting this thing set on here. We're gonna line our yaller up, and that's gonna get us close. And that's all I can ask for.
Like yesterday, hopefully not tomorrow. And it feels like sometimes it's always on a borrow, yeah. was gray in my hair. Some people look and they laugh at me, yeah, but maybe tomorrow will set me free. Man, I didn't like yesterday. The house is dirty and bills are still not paid. Gotta get up, gotta get out. I gotta find me a paper route. You go walk in my shoes and you'll see. Take a look at my world, and then you can say, take a walk in my shoes, and then you can say. Then I look for the day when my family can smile at me. When I come their way, yeah. Man, I look for the day when my little boy said, Daddy, play that song for me. I said, play that special song for me now. Today, seems like yesterday, hopefully not tomorrow. Man, I didn't like yesterday. The house is dirty and bills are still not paid. Gotta get up, gotta get out. I gotta find me a paper route. Did not like yesterday. Man, I didn't like yesterday. The house is dirty and bills are still not paid. Gotta get up, gotta get out. I gotta find me a paper route. I did not like yesterday. Say yesterday. Did not like it. Man, I didn't like yesterday. The house is dirty and bills are still not paid. Gotta get up, gotta get out. I gotta find me a paper route. I did not like yesterday.
So let's go ahead and cut our holes out. Ow! Move your finger, knucklehead. I moved it that time. Did you see that? Go ahead. I reckon we can go ahead and put these in here. Ooh, boy, that sounded good. Believe that'll work. So I have to apologize. I did not record part of what went on a little while ago. And at this point, obviously, I have no idea what was recorded and what wasn't. So I pieced it together as good as I could. Anyway, here we go. So those of you who are my loyal subscribers, y'all already know this, but people new to the channel may not. So these seats came out of a 2006 Lexus ES330. And unbeknownst to me, These seats are controlled by the ECU and a circuit board. And so a lot of work had to be done to these things in order to make them work. Cutting these holes out was one of them. So because it was controlled by an ECU and a circuit board, none of the switches, none of that stuff could be used. So I had to locate these momentary switches. And if you're interested in what I'm using here, I saved one of the packages. So they're from Recoil. There's your part number, and that's a description of what they are if you want to use them. Now, I'll be honest with you, they're not the cheapest thing in the world. I think 4 of these switches were somewhere around close to $75 for 4 switches. So you're talking about, what is that, 19 a piece? I don't know, 7. I'm not good with math. High school was the best 7 years of my life. So they come just like this, pre-wired. Now the problem is, behind this, when this thing is setting like it's supposed to be setting and your cushion for your seat is right here, there is very little room back here. So the wires coming straight off the back of this switch is not going to work. That is part of why I'm going through all of this trouble. But they won't, when they're all wired up. So if you'll notice, I use 90-degree plugs and had to come off of both sides, because if you look at it, your prongs are directly across from each other. So there had to be a little bit of thought put in there. Now, obviously, that is not going to fit through that hole. And so the first thing we're going to do to try to get us towards the finish line here, we're going to go ahead and snap one of these in here. Just like so. And we'll have to wire this with the switches in. And I'm not an electrician, so I have to cheat. I've got to leave this one wired up the way it is, and I'm also lazy. I'm not gonna write all this crap down. So I'm gonna end up putting all the switches in except one, and then we're going to wire them while they're already in the panel. So if you want something done fairly quickly, find a lazy person to do it. They're gonna show you the fastest way to get something done. So some of y'all may be asking yourself, I wonder why he didn't get Ron up here to do that. The guy that soldered together the last one. And I would, but Ron lives about 45 minutes away. And I know that Ron would not mind coming up here and doing this. That's a long way to travel just to come up here and solder some wires together. And some may say, well, why don't you solder them together? It's because I soldered just long enough to realize I can't solder. So we're going to do it this way. I watched Ron, and just in case you're not aware, you're new to the channel, there's another video on this driver's side seat of Ron actually up here soldering this together. So I would go check that out if you haven't seen it already. So, like I said, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to leave one of these wired up so that I don't have to write nothing down and so that I don't get confused, because like I said, high school was the best 7 years of my life. All right, which one do we want to start with? Are we turned the right way? We have 3, we have 4, we have 3, we have 4. All right, we're turned the right way. Let's start with the green. So I've already got these wired together. So green goes here. I'm just barely going to put these on here for now. No, actually I already messed up. God, y'all didn't even say a word. Green with 2 wires. Goes on that one. And the 1 wire goes on that one. Just like so. Get you out of the way. Now these wires have to lay, like I said, as flat as possible, and they have to go back towards the back of the seat. So, to your right. Let's go red. What'd you do with my red wire? Let's just use this one. Look, it's already made up. Now I've got a prong directly across from that one, so this one's gonna have to go here, and it will get bent back yon direction. Blue. 2 wire goes here. That's gonna have to go this way. Bend that around, and blue goes to the second prong. Y'all see that problem? I see that problem. Get off there. Blue. Yeesh. Goes over here. Just like that. Alright, let's go ahead. Our green goes back over here. Ooh, that's going to be problematic. Well, I got it. This one's being stubborn. There it goes. All right. Blue, 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 blue. Got the blue. All right. Black. Black should be somewhat simple. Black 2 prong, 2 wire goes here. Now let's see if we can get that to go on there. This first button, I believe I want to be the front of the seat up and down, and that would be this motor right here. We're gonna cut these off. Oh, let's say about yay. Sorry, I'm sure my head was right there in your way. So we have located our second switch, which will move the whole seat back and forth. And that goes to this motor here. You can tell that because the way that it is right there. So I need to have a little forethought on where I want to run the wires and how much slack I need to keep from pulling these things real tight. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and lop it right there. I messed around and ran out of butt connectors. So we're gonna have to do this from here on out a little different. It'll still work. And ain't nobody but me and you know about it. truth be known, this is probably a better way to do it. Behind or in front, behind or in front. Where's a Bic when you need one? Now, a third switch is special because it does something that no other switch does. It moves the back of the seat up and down. Ain't no other switch over here does that. That's a fact. Well, if we wired it right, then that's a fact. Out there. I done a silly thing today. I stopped on the way home and bought a bunch of wire, $63 worth, and come to find out I had already wired these. Didn't need it. Oh well. You can't hide money. Let's plug you in here. Plug you in here. Now we've got to wire the back of the seat. The back of the seat. Where your back's at? That one, for Pete's sake. I have updates. So now we've got all of our wires going through the original wire loom. And I do realize that this looks like a jumbled up pile of wires. And that's because it is. Get this thing straightened out. I had to redo some redoing. But we're going to get this thing wired up and then we're going to test it and make sure it works. Because God knows there's no reason why it shouldn't.
lifts up one of her wings to let me by her side.
So let's go ahead and if I can find my screw and drive them, get a way to connect this thing to the car. And basically what I've done here, I've took two Deutsch connectors and wired them together because I'm not 100% sure how much amperage each one of those connectors holds. So I just put two of them together because if one works, two's got to be better. I mean, that's just common sense there. And then we will run our power and ground here. That way, if we ever need to, we can just reach under here and unclip this thing and pull it out. So what I want to do before I get all of this crap strapped down and looking good, I want to test everything to make sure it works. Before I flip it over though, I want you to get a look at why we had to go through the trouble of rewiring these switches. There is absolutely no room on the other end of those switches. Well, there ain't really nothing left to do but to give her a whirl. I got her hooked up to a hot battery. Let's just see what it do. That works. What do you do? Seat up, seat down. All right. These wires need to be switched. That button is backwards, but it does work. What do you do? Front of the seat down, front of the seat up. All right, that's wrong. It does work. So this switch and this switch need to be switched. What do? You go back, you go forward. Look, when I tell you wiring is not my thing, that's exactly what I mean. If that wasn't obvious by now, every day I look down and see a matching pair of shoes is a good day to me. All right, fellers and fellettes, I believe that's gonna do it for this video. I got those switches switched around and the other one rewired and got everything up and tied up and loomed up and looking pretty snazzy. If you made it this far, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. This one's a little drawn out, but there was a lot of it I wanted to fit in. A lot of them I didn't want to cut out. I greatly appreciate you showing up. I greatly appreciate you subscribing to the channel, leaving your comments. Till next time, y'all go do some work. It's gonna take me a month to clean this up.
Well, I know you couldn't make it.